keep you coming back, hopefully. We do record these and we'll put these onto the YouTube channel. You can access the YouTube channel in simplicity by going to the website, addictedtoconnecting.com, and scroll down, and you can either review today's topic or you can go back and review one of the last 4 years of topics that are on the YouTube channel and stuff. So again, today's conversation, guys, is not anything difficult, but I wanted to talk about intrusive and inclusive leadership. And I think it's important that first and foremost that we get a definition that is a working definition for the entire group. I don't want to give you that definition. What I want to do is take some time to go into a breakout room and discuss what you think inclusive leadership is and what you think intrusive leadership might be, right? And so inclusive leadership definition, intrusive leadership definition, take some time, obviously, to do a 30 to 60-second elevator pitch amongst the group so everybody knows who everybody is. And then we will take some time to come back and figure out what that definition is going to be for the entire group. Let me recreate our groups here. So we shuffle them up a little bit. And I'll open them up. I got 10, 12. We're going to go probably for about 8 or 9 minutes, guys, and then we'll come back and discuss. All right. Have a good breakout, guys. We'll come back around and actually open it up for the group. So what are some things that you guys heard in your breakouts? Go ahead, Jeff. Jeff D.
Awesome. Basically our closing point, our closing agreement was that procrastinate, well, maybe I should keep it a little more relevant to intrusive leadership. Jen made the great point, micromanagement. You and I added to that ego. So an intrusive leader, in air quotes, intrusive manager, boss, more like it, they micromanage, they kind of, they peer over your shoulder to make sure you're doing things exactly how they want it done. They're not respecting your boundaries, your personal space. And then as far as ego, no matter what you create and how hard you work at it, the intrusive boss is going to say, no, this doesn't serve me. This doesn't suit me. That's cute what you did, but no, we're going to do it my day. So thanks, but my way. So thanks, but no thanks is kind of where we were at, kind of what we agreed upon.
All right, Rodney. So what I shared was,
hold on, Ray.
Sorry.
All right, is it me? Yeah, all right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, go ahead, Coach Lee.
So we had talked about, Dave brought something up that was interesting to me about servant leadership and how that looks, and when you're making sure that your employees have the things that they need to be successful. That includes coaching and constant feedback, making sure that they have an understanding of what the direction of the company is and what their mission is. And I thought it was interesting because Dave talked about having core values and a mission statement. So no one's really confused about where we're going and how important it is for people to buy into that. If they're not buying into that, then you may have a difficult decision to let those people go. And of course, it serves the entire company if this person doesn't feel like they're a good fit or if they're miserable, but it also serves them. So I like this idea of servant leadership because they don't have to be beholden to these values and there's mission statements that they don't agree with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Rita, can you share what you shared with us in the group? Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
I'm sorry about that. That difference between intrusive and inclusive leadership that, you know, we were breaking down, and I think what everybody else is saying is fantastic, but at the root of all of those difficulties is the difference between trust and honesty. Inclusive means that you're trusting your people to do their work appropriately, on time, in a way that works for them. You know, honesty in the realm of the inclusive leader is somebody that is sharing what the goals are, sharing what the resources are, making their time and their expertise available to them, versus the intrusive leader only sharing the bare minimum, so that every single person that works underneath them has to come to them for every single like little tiny post-it note to get pieces from them. And they're not being fully honest with them on maybe even their thoughts on how that individual staff member or team member is doing. So yeah, I mean, trust and honesty, I think, is a huge difference between the inclusive and the intrusive leader.
I like it. I like it. Ray, are you still there, brother? You're muted, Ray.
Of course I'm muted. Sorry, I'm working from the earpiece. Sorry. So I actually read a book that I buy businesses, for those of you who don't know. And because I do that for a living, I come across a bunch of different scenarios. And it was talking about intrusive leadership. And essentially what it was hinting at is that it's something that I do by default, which is if I'm doing business with you or you're like upper management, then I have to know everything about you, which is very intrusive on my part, but I need to get an understanding of how you're making decisions and where your decisions, like what's the baseline for your decisions. So when I hear intrusive leadership, that's what I think of. It's not a negative thing. It's like me wanting to know everything I can about you, to know you better as an individual, and then that allows me to lead you better. And for us to make decisions better for the company and everything, et cetera, et cetera. Like the way I personally use it is to get a better understanding of like your financial situation and what you've learned and how you got to where you are in life. So now as we make decisions moving forward with our company, I understand the perspective that you have for what you are doing. That is what I shared in my take on intrusive leadership. It's not necessarily a bad thing like everyone is trying to make it, because intrusive typically has a bad connotation, but that is my perspective on intrusive leadership. And inclusive leadership in general is just, you know, including people's perspectives and thoughts and everything else, trying to get towards your main goal as the leader of the company. Like you'll let anybody else help you get to your final vision if you feel that they can add value. So yeah, that's the difference between the two. Thank you.
Perfect, Ray. And I shared in my group, I said, you know, that the word or the term intrusive leadership was something that was introduced to the military probably about 2008 timeframe. We were going through a rash of DUIs, alcohol-related offenses, and things like that. And top leadership was like, listen, we need to get them, you know, direct supervisors knowing their people better, and really having an insight into their life a little bit more, because there was obviously reasons why people were going out and drinking as heavily as what they were, and things like that, right? And so that's where the term intrusive leadership came out. And I think Ray hit it right on the head, right? As far as it was really about just knowing your people, right? And knowing how you can serve them better. I think Dave mentions the servant leadership part when Lee was talking to us, right, Coach Lee? And I think it is just about knowing your people. And then the inclusive side is probably what we've all heard of more recently, as we've all come across the DEI initiatives, right? Diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives that have been put out there, right? And it's about having the willingness and desire and openness to be able to listen to everyone's perspective. And again, Ray, I think hit that on the head, right? And so one's about listening, the other is about knowing people. Did anybody hear anything different or think anything differently in their conversations?
Yeah, I'd like to add that, as you said in your intro, in your email, there's a fine line. And I think the fine line has to be with true respect of the other and the difference, right? So getting to know them without judging. And then that's what we'll talk about in June 25th, positive intelligence. So finding the information, we need to get to know people and be really listening and empathizing, but we cannot judge and exclude them based on what we find. So I think the deep respect of the other is really important in any case.
So that's a great segue, by the way, Marite. So when we go to this breakout, right, this next breakout, I just want to kind of talk about how do we come to the intersection of these two so that we are knowing our people to the best of our ability, right? And also still being able to listen openly to what they're desiring or what they're wanting to contribute to the project, the group, the team, the whatever it is that we're all involved with, right? I think often when we know something about, Marite was starting to hit this, right? When we know something about somebody, right, we can often, all of a sudden we want to put the blinders on. We're like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to, but you don't know what perspective that actually might bring into the goals that you guys are trying to accomplish as a team, right? So again, take some time, introduce yourselves, do round robins, right? It is 10:34. We're going to spend about another 10 minutes in breakout, just talking about how we can better come to the intersection of these two things together, right? Awesome. Hey, welcome back, everybody. So strategies, what do we do, right? How do we get closer to that intersection so that obviously we know our people, but we're also open to listening to their perspectives and obviously accelerating the mission forward for whatever that goal may be. What do you guys hear? Go ahead, Lamar, go ahead.
This goes back to the first breakout room. I think Dave Scoblin, who's run several different businesses, and he and I are also retired bankers or recovering bankers. I love his phrase of, and I wrote this down. It's very important that we think that we coach up or we coach out. And I like that as a way to be a very effective leader. Listening to your people, helping them to grow, helping them to become part of the organization. But every now and then there's going to be someone that doesn't fit. And so then you coach out.
Absolutely, I like that.
Can I just highlight that? Coaching out also means coaching out to make that person happier and better. I mean, it could be out to another department, it could be to a higher position. It's a two-way street. Most people take it as out because they don't fit, but it could be a positive not fit too.
Alicia?
Yeah, two things. First, I want to thank everybody for your attention to the presentation that I made a couple of weeks ago. I truly appreciate it. And the second thing, building on the topic that we're discussing on, Ray Matthews shared that he uses intrusive leadership as a style for his companies. So I was saying that my master's degree is in leadership. So we focus on servant leadership in my program of study at Grand Canyon University. And so the concept that he introduced couples with servant leadership, helping you as a leader, recognizing that your followers, your staff, your team are important to you and important to the success of the organization, coupling that with intrusive leadership, being able to ask pointed questions, it will help align and help the organization be stronger than without it, without the servant leadership, without the intrusive leadership.
Absolutely. Who else?
So Rodney, I was having a difficulty with the two leadership styles posed in opposition, because each of them in their own way, depending on how you define it, carries baggage. But I want to go back to what Coach Lee said in our last session, which is I think what grounds both of them is the values for the organization. And those values are around respect and treating people properly and being aligned with the goal. But I think the leader's job is also to take that glue and focus it on what needs to be accomplished, and help people understand what is expected of them, make sure they understand it so that they can be accountable to things that they've agreed to, right? Accountability without knowledge is sort of tyranny, which happens in the workforce quite frequently. So it also, I think, relates to style and to value of the organization. And I've been impressed with a number of things that I've heard over the years about the fact the current workforce is 4 generations, which we've never had before. And for those of you that have grandchildren, you can appreciate that your grandchildren look at things differently than you do. And trying to manage that in a workplace is not without its challenge, because people have different expectations of the workplace than what you do or what you did and what you did early on. So anyway, some thoughts.
So, and I'm glad you said, because I posed it as an opposition when I put out the invite, right? Versus, but I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think these are things that need to work in combination of this, right? I said, anybody understand electricity works on a sine wave, AC, right? Alternating current works on a sine wave. And typically we have 3-phase AC, meaning that there's 3 sine waves and they intersect each other 180 degrees apart, right? Or 120 degrees apart, 120 degrees apart. And I feel like, inclusive and intrusive leadership are those things. They're just waving in and out of each other, right? And they're going to come into play sometimes. They're not going to be in play sometimes. And there's probably some other 3rd or 4th or 5th leg of leadership that kind of comes into play, whether that be servant leadership or whatever. I think servant leadership should be DC, right? That's direct current. It should always be there. Just a steady line of servant leadership. But absolutely, I think they all play off of each other very well, and can harm each other differently if you don't use them correctly. Who else?
Well, I think that the points you made about managing different and leading different generations is very, very significant, because again, generations think totally differently. They've been conditioned differently, and the younger generation may not have as much knowledge or experience, but they've grown up in a life of change, as opposed to those of us who are older, who saw change take place over decades, not over days, as currently happens. And I think that, again, the ability to lead is to bring everybody together to accomplish and achieve the goals of the organization. That is what a leader is designed to do. And he or she needs to understand that everybody can make a significant contribution in regards to what they're thinking and in regards to what their suggestions are. I've done a number of sessions of management consulting, and I'm often find that the information I obtain from the receptionist is the best information I can subsequently pass along to the CEO, because he or she would never ask that person what they should be doing differently, what they should be changing, what they should be using to make the organization more successful and more effective. Everybody is part of that organization. Everybody needs to have input into the organization, and everybody is valuable. And if they're not valuable, they should not be in the organization.
I love it. I love it, Jerry. Absolutely. If they're not, I've always been under this influence. Like if you're either adding value or you're taking away. There's no neutrality. We all think that there is neutrality in our character, but there is no neutrality. You're either adding to or you're taking away, right? So good deal. Anybody else before I close out? Awesome. Hey, this has been a great conversation today. I really appreciate you guys coming in. I want to take a few minutes because we're at 10:53. We've got a few new folks on here. I just want to give them an opportunity to obviously introduce themselves to everybody, because I'm sure they haven't had a chance to meet all of you. Feel free to also, everybody else, put your information in the chat so that we can obviously reach out to each other on LinkedIn or whatever your preferred method of contact is, and hopefully set up some one-on-ones outside of this. First up for today on our new folks, Miss Rita.
Hello.
Just give us your 30-second, 60-second pitch and
I'm an interior designer in Cleveland, Ohio. I started my own business not quite 3 years ago after more than 20 years in architecture firms. I do commercial and residential interior design. But I come with a lot of design thinking and leadership in those creative fields. And I'm always on the lookout to mentor people. I especially love mentoring students, emerging professionals, and specifically people who have kind of fallen through the cracks on things, and developing strategies for them to jump back in and find a place that's a better place for them to grow from.
Perfect. Mr. Tino, are you in a position where you can talk to us? Tino?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Tino Go. I'm the CEO and founder of Baru. Baru is a gig platform for underused manufacturing automation. So we use these locally available machines to deglobalize manufacturing and remove 40% of the revenue waste that's normally wasted on shipping and handling. We sell custom cabinets and closet systems made in your hometown.
Awesome. Awesome. Where are you located out of, Tino?
Personally, I'm in Cleveland, but my team's all over the place. And then we're selling and manufacturing in 35 metro areas.
Perfect,
and
man.
growing.
Does Cincinnati qualify as a metro area?
It does.
Yeah, any region with over 500,000 people, we can set up a local manufacturing ecosystem.
We're at 1.9 million. Okay, I just want you to know that.
And you've been to the Super Bowl?
Recently, yeah. Yeah. Let's see who else we got. George? Is George still here?
Yes.
There you go.
Hello, I'm George Coltepin. I'm a travel agent. I am home-based. I basically help people plan for a vacation. And so all they have to do is enjoy their memorable trip. I've been in the military and for 10 years. Leadership was a big part of it. And I look forward to talking to everyone further.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us today, George. Jerry?
My business consists of management training, executive coaching, and personal development. I try to help managers learn how to improve and acquire skills of communication, delegation, goal setting, leadership, management, motivation, organization, supervision, and time management. I try to help people use more of their potential to accomplish and achieve more and greater success in their lives.
Awesome. And Jerry as well, thank you for joining us today, buddy. I appreciate it. Listen, we're going to wrap up, guys. A few minutes early today. Most of you know why, because I want to get back out to the woods. I'm not going to lie to you. So a couple weeks ago, we included a slide to add in kind of where we're at on everything. And so as of today, with our 4 new folks joining us, right, we are at 16. I didn't update the thermometer because I'm having some issues with that this morning when I was trying to log on to it. But I'll get that fixed, Lamar, so we have our thermometer back. So we're up to 16 new associates for the entire year. That's after March 31st. March 31st is our anniversary for all of our new folks. Our goal was to add 100 new folks by next March 31st. Next week, guys, we're going to come back. We're going to talk about change management and having healthy conflict within our organizations. After that, I think Shane's going to come back about Shane Hicks. I'm not sure of the topic, but I put in there finding your best self. I think there was something about self-awareness and self-searching, right? That was there that we were going to talk about. We're going to have Sanford's dance party on the 21st of May. He don't know that yet, but we're doing that. And then the other thing that we have lined up right now is Marite and Melissa right now are coming back to talk to us about positive intelligence. Correct, Marite?
Right. Positive intelligence. Yep. And people
Perfect.
can look at positiveintelligence.com, and I would highly recommend you listen to the book, the audio book, or you buy the book. It's a bestseller. And then we'll do the free saboteur tests that we all have them. We judge oneself, others, and circumstances, and we can shift into stage mode and make a big difference in the workplace and in our lives.
So just to be clear for everyone, there will be homework to do before that session, right? For everyone to go in and do the assessments and stuff, so that when we get together, hopefully we can better understand our assessments, right?
Yes.
And stuff. So
What is that book again?
Positive intelligence. Positive intelligence.
And you put that in the chat?
I did earlier.
I'll email it
Yeah.
out to you too. I'll
Yeah,
email it out to you.
positiveintelligence.com. Yeah, it's a bestseller. It's been, big companies use it in training, and it's yeah. And people can connect with me on LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm part of a Changemaker collab. That's why I invited Melissa. We're certified in it. And I've got an app on my phone. It's mental fitness. You develop mental fitness with
And so
PQ reps. It's really cool.
as we're wrapping up today, next week in our change management and having a healthy conflict, right? I want everyone to think over the next week, like, what are some personal development or professional development topics that we all would like to discuss? I'm going to email you guys out a list of some actual free Harvard certificate courses, right? They're 2 and 3 hours. And one of my thoughts is that maybe we'll throw those out there and maybe start taking on one of those classes. I know one of them, I was in conversation with Dave last week. One of them is resiliency, right? There was a 2-hour certificate class on resiliency. I think those are good topics for us all to look at and listen to, and maybe come back and have group discussions on, right? So we can continue to learn from each other. Go out there, guys. Lead people this week like you've never led them before. I will see you guys on here next Tuesday. Go out there and have a great week for yourselves, whatever it is in your business or in your transition, right? Wish you guys all the best. Love you.